movie time with John DeSando and his friends online. So everything is gonna be just fine. From the top down to the bottom. He's gonna let you know if you should stay home or if you should go. Might even yell if it's a spectacle. From San Francisco
It's
to
Movie
London.
Time is produced and hosted by John DeSando. Listen to shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John
And
DeSando,
I'm Mindy Mcfann.
and this is Movie Time.
Sure enough.
Now, Mindy,
Yes.
besides being an artist, that's really, I think, your main goal
Mm.
is to be an excellent artist, and also you work as an educator.
Yes,
You-
I am a restorative behavioral coach.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, behavioral coach, I love that. So it means you might come across 11-year-old autistic kids?
All the time.
Oh, no.
For 20 years.
Bingo, I hit it.
For 20 years.
Oh, my Lord. Well, we have a film today called Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in a low period for movies, so I'm pleased to find a movie that I find engaging.
Mm-hmm.
And Ezra's about a dad, Bobby Cannavale, who tries to deal with having an autistic son. Set it up a little bit for us.
He is a comedian, and he is divorced, and he and his ex-wife are having a conflict over how their autistic son should be raised. The school the kid was going to wasn't appropriate for him, the school didn't think, and so they wanted to send him to another school, and the two parents were arguing about that.
Yeah.
And the father decided to take matters into his own hands.
And this dad just doesn't make good decisions, you think? Max, by Bobby Cannavale.
Yeah.
Rose Byrne does a fine job as the
Yes.
ex.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does.
Mindy, I just have to say this, it's like revealing something, but I think the major plot point here is that he kidnaps the kid and takes him across country.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I think since the guy who the story's really about wrote the screenplay, I am amazed what a good job he did making himself look like a hero.
good point.
Because he wasn't a hero to me.
Well, no, I mean,
No.
and this is typical though of the character, Max, don't you think?
Yes.
He doesn't make
Yes.
good decisions.
No, he's I don't know how old he's supposed to be, late 40s, early 50s, man-child.
Yes.
He is terminally immature.
Oh my Lord. And I mean, at one point, I really like this story, but of course it's a setup for schmaltzy stuff, which it does, and it's a setup for kind of outrageous stuff happening.
Yes.
And one of them is when he punches the principal, was it?
Well, he goes after them. I don't know if he actually gets contact, but he loses it when he doesn't get his way. I mean, that's the way I saw it at least. He loses it when he doesn't get his way. He doesn't know like how to, as an adult, have a conversation with somebody about something you disagree about. He just does whatever the heck he wants.
Okay, so we have, I'm trying to look for his name now. Oh, yes, William A. Fitzgerald playing Ezra.
Yeah, he was wonderful.
And he is on the spectrum.
Yeah, he was the best part of the movie, I think.
Oh, boy, I thought
he was
terrific.
just
Yeah.
charming. Absolutely charming.
They seem to play that just right. It's Tony Goldwyn is the director.
And played the boyfriend of the mother.
Right, and he is the grandson of the Goldwyn.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Metro Goldwyn Mayer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my, yeah.
Yeah, I loved him on whatever the show he was on, where he was the politician. I can't remember, but
Okay, yeah,
I
I
loved
wouldn't
that
think any
show.
help, but
Yeah.
I was impressed with him.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
impressed
lovely.
with this job too. He's not the writer, but as you said, Tony Spiridakis is,
Yes.
who has had the experience. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Wow, okay. So Mindy, what's true about the depiction of Ezra?
I mean, everything. I mean, just the sensory overload, the discomfort with being touched, just his sensory reaction to different foods, all kinds of things. At least in my experience, everybody's different, but I wouldn't touch a kid who didn't want to be touched
Right,
because I wanted to touch them. I just wouldn't.
yes.
Now, I in a therapy setting where you're trying to get the kid to get beyond that, that's one thing. But so much of it seemed, at least with the father, what he wanted to do was for him. not for the child.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, most of the autistic kids I work with are fine. I mean, they have to adjust to different things, and people have to adjust to different things about them, but they're spectacular human beings because you get to be with somebody who's honest, and it's wonderful.
And that's a characteristic.
Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many autistic kids have told me I had coffee breath. You know? But it's never done with malice, it's just a fact.
Yeah.
They will tell you you're fat, they will tell you you have coffee breath, they will tell you your hair is weird, but they only say it as a fact. It's not, it's in no way meant to make you feel bad or anything. It's just truth.
Oh, that's
and being
wonderful.
around a human being who operates in truth, it is an absolute joy.
Wow. What is aren't autistic kids also gifted in some way? Are they
It just
usually?
depends.
Does
No,
it depend?
just depends.
It's because I'm coming from Rain Man, of course.
Yeah, that's not normal. No, that's not normal. I mean, there's a kid I work with now who has a vocabulary that is massive. But a lot of kids do.
Okay.
So,
All right.
yeah.
So how do you identify an autistic kid? Yeah, I mean, can you do that immediately? Is that,
Well, it just depends because there's a spectrum.
yeah.
So usually parents start to notice something. I mean, some autistic kids are nonverbal forever, and some
Yeah.
kids you wouldn't know. You might see they're a little quirky or something, but it's all over the place. So usually a parent notices something or a doctor noticed something. They started to talk later, walk later than
All right.
what is considered normal and stuff. But they're just, being a neurotypical person myself.
Yeah, I like that term.
Yeah. Well,
There's neurodiverse, neurotypical. Thanks. Yeah.
But we're all on some kind of spectrum. I
Right.
was having this conversation with my daughter because so many people like to throw around their own personal diagnoses now for the littlest things. And everybody is a little ADHD and a little OCD and a little autistic.
Yes.
It's just if it gets in the way of functioning in a relatively way in the world, that's when it's a problem.
Yes.
Other than that, we're all a little
Yeah.
whatever.
I have a grandson who is autistic, and when he was first born, and for quite a while, he did nothing but scream. Just screamed.
Well, I try to kind of imagine it, and it's maybe harder for a man, but when your hormones are at their worst, which means you are, the chemicals in your body aren't working right, or they are working in a different way, and you are being thrust into a place where there's too much light, too much sound, too much sensory input, it makes you feel like you're coming out of your skin. And with an autistic person, that can be a constant feeling of just pounding sensory stuff coming at you.
Right. And we're told in the film autism, from the Greek perhaps, but meaning alone in your own world. I guess that's characteristic. Talk to me a little bit. Not the star of this film, but billed as the star would always be Robert De Niro whenever he appears in a substantial role.
Right.
What role? He's Max. That is the
grandpa.
father. Yeah, he's the grandpa. What's his role in this film?
I think it's supposed to be the breadcrumbs that lead to why the father is the way he is.
Thank you. All right.
But we have a grandfather who was physically violent with his child, we find out.
Yes.
And we have a father who loses temper and is kidnapping his own child. Yet the breadcrumbs lead back to, if we're going to apply blame, seem to be the mother who left.
Yes.
And I thought that was real interesting how she got hung out with the blame, considering those two behavior. I mean, I'm guessing he wasn't just violent with his son. So maybe there's some backstory with mom, but it just seemed that, well, if she hadn't left, dad and son would have been just dandy.
They're in constant search of why mom left. Gee, why do you think?
I thought of 1,000 reasons in the course of watching the movie.
It's like it's a big revelation when you see how kooky dad and son are.
But moms aren't allowed to.
Yes, boy,
Just
that's
flat
a
out aren't
great
allowed
point,
to.
yes. When De Niro has his moment, and he
Mhm.
does have a moment where
Yeah.
he apologizes.
Yes.
That seemed real to you?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, and unfortunately, it took something catastrophic to make
Yeah.
that happen.
Yes, yeah.
I think that is a very hard thing for people to do. It's a very vulnerable thing for a parent to do, because you are just innately guilty when you're a parent, you know, about so many things, that to try to say that to a child, taking the chance the child's gonna go, you're right, you were horrible, is scary.
You know, I really warmed up to it, of course, because it allows De Niro to show his chops,
Right,
which he does brilliantly, almost as if it were just pulled out of somewhere else and put into this film.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden we're getting a couple of minutes of a monologue, actually a dialogue, but a monologue by Robert De Niro.
right,
And yes, and he confesses to being distant to his
Mhm.
son, and abusive,
yeah,
and we've seen evidence of that.
yeah,
He has lost much, now he's a doorman.
yeah,
So the role becomes crucial for understanding Max.
absolutely.
Because, Mindy, isn't that the interesting thing about this film? It's not all about Ezra, the autistic child. It is about his dad.
Yes, but I know, maybe I sound judgmental, but yes, the grandpa, Robert De Niro, was an excuse for his behavior.
Right.
But I gotta tell you, he was a grown man.
Mindy Mcfann, I want to talk more about this with you on our podcast at WCBE.org, the podcast experience, and you're going to be listening to Back Talk. So before we get there, Mindy, what do you advise about Ezra?
I think it is worth going to see. If I was in the middle of a divorce, wouldn't go see this movie.
But if you wanted to get an introduction to autism, I don't think it's bad.
Oh, no, I think the child was the best part about the movie. But if you're mad at an ex-husband, don't go.
It's movie time with John DeSando and his friends online. So everything is gonna be just fine. From the top down to the bottom, he's gonna let you know